Hello! Urban violence continues to devastate communities across the globe, turning once thriving cities into epicenters of crime and fear. According to international crime statistics, nearly 460,000 people lose their lives each year due to violence in urban areas. Alarmingly, more than one-third of these deaths occur in just a handful of cities known for their extremely high crime rates. In these dangerous urban centers, the average homicide rate reaches 100 per 100,000 residents, a staggering figure that is nearly 10 times higher than the global average for cities. These numbers highlight not only the severity of the violence, but also the urgent need for comprehensive reform, law enforcement improvements, and social interventions. This list ranks the top 10 most dangerous cities in the world, based on the latest available data. These cities are not just facing crime, they are struggling with deeply rooted issues such as poverty, drug trafficking, gang violence, and political instability. Starting from the 10th most dangerous city, we'll explore the environments, challenges, and underlying causes that have contributed to their alarming levels of violence and made them infamous on the global stage. Top 10. Ciudad Juarez, Mexico. Nickname, the Gate of Hell. Homicide rate, approximately 100 per 100,000 inhabitants, based on historical averages. Location, situated in northern Mexico, Ciudad Juarez lies directly across the Rio Grande from El Paso, Texas. Together, the two cities form a sprawling binational metropolitan area with over 3.4 million people. Ciudad Juarez, once seen as a thriving industrial city due to its proximity to the U.S. border and the boom of maquiladoras, foreign-owned factories, has tragically become infamous for its extreme levels of violence and impunity. For decades, the city has served as a critical node in international drug trafficking routes, arms smuggling, and human trafficking networks, primarily controlled by powerful cartels such as the Sinaloa cartel and rival groups vying for territorial dominance. The city hit global headlines in 2009 when the homicide rate soared to unprecedented levels. More than 3,000 people were murdered in that year alone, an average of 8 homicides per day. Disturbingly, nearly 90% of those cases remained unsolved, a stark reflection of the widespread corruption and dysfunction within local law enforcement. The justice system is overwhelmed, underfunded, and often compromised by bribes, intimidation, or direct involvement with organized crime. In 2012, over 800 police officers were dismissed for corruption, yet meaningful change has been slow. Ciudad Juarez is also the site of one of the most chilling patterns of gender-based violence in the modern era. Since the early 1990s, hundreds of women, primarily young students and factory workers, have gone missing or been found murdered, often under horrific circumstances. Despite national and international outrage, the majority of these crimes have not led to convictions, and families of victims continue to demand justice amid silence and fear. Adding to the complexity is the rise of vigilante groups, such as the Ciudad Juarez Citizens Command, formed by civilians fed up with the government's inability to protect them. While these groups claim to combat cartel violence, they risk devolving into paramilitary forces that operate outside the law, potentially perpetuating cycles of revenge and extrajudicial killings. The underlying causes of Juarez's crisis run deep: systemic corruption, poverty, lack of educational and economic opportunities, and its strategic location as a gateway to the U.S. have created a volatile cocktail of desperation and lawlessness. While government officials claim that the situation has improved in recent years, the reality for many residents remains harrowing. Daily life in Juarez is described by some locals as a constant game of life and death, with gunshots echoing through neighborhoods, extortion a common threat, and fear embedded into the fabric of the city. Ciudad Juarez is a grim example of what happens when institutions collapse under the weight of organized crime, and when human life is rendered expendable in the pursuit of power and profit. While efforts for reform and international aid continue, the scars run deep, and the battle for safety and justice in this border city is far from over. Top 9. Nelson Mandela Bay, South Africa. Homicide rate 78.33 per 100,000, 2023. Location, a coastal metropolitan area in South Africa, originally renowned for its scenic beaches, marine life, and booming tourism industry. Once a symbol of potential and beauty on South Africa's southern coast, Nelson Mandela Bay, encompassing Port Elizabeth, Uitenhage, and Dispatch, has experienced a dramatic and disturbing shift. In just 4 years, the city surged from 24th place in global homicide rankings in 2019 to 9th in 2023, driven by a shocking 37% increase in homicides. What was once a regional hub for beachgoers and international tourists has now become one of the world's most dangerous cities. A key driver behind this surge in violence is the city's crippling unemployment rate, particularly among the youth, where joblessness exceeds 50%. With limited economic opportunities and a breakdown in social support systems, many young people have turned to gangs for income and protection. These gangs have entrenched themselves in numerous neighborhoods, establishing de facto control in areas where police presence is virtually non-existent. Crime in Nelson Mandela Bay is not limited to gang wars. Petty crimes such as phone snatching, bag theft, and pickpocketing are alarmingly common and frequently escalate into brutal assaults or armed robberies. Tourists are often prime targets, which has severely impacted the once thriving tourism industry. Annual visitor numbers have plummeted from 420,000 to just 280,000, with tourism revenue shrinking to an estimated 270 million USD, dealing a major blow to the city's economy. Adding to the turmoil, a previously active 40-member Coast Patrol unit has mysteriously dissolved, leaving the shores vulnerable to illegal activity and smuggling. Local law enforcement agencies, already underfunded and understaffed, are stretched beyond capacity. Government promises of increased safety and crime control have largely fallen flat, as many districts fall deeper into lawlessness. Today, residents describe daily life in Nelson Mandela Bay as a gamble of geography and relationships. One's personal safety often depends on who you know and which street you're on. Entire zones of the city are effectively beyond the reach of formal authority, highlighting a community teetering on the edge of social collapse. For many, survival now relies on local networks and self-imposed curfews, with fear and uncertainty defining the new normal in a city that once stood as a coastal gem. Top 8. Guayaquil, Ecuador. Homicide rate, 88.82 per 100,000, 2023. Location, Ecuador's largest port city, a strategic hub in global maritime trade. Once celebrated for its commercial significance and cultural vitality, Guayaquil has rapidly descended into one of the most dangerous cities in the world. As of 2023, it claimed the grim title of Latin America's most violent city, with a homicide rate nearing 89 per 100,000 people. The scale and brutality of violence here are staggering. Stories of residents being shot dozens of times or entire groups targeted in mass shootings, like in nearby Duran town, are no longer rare headlines but common occurrences. Guayaquil's geographic and economic position has made it a prime target for transnational drug trafficking. Situated near major coca-producing countries like Colombia and Peru, and operating with a US dollar-based economy, the city serves as a launch pad for narcotics bound for the United States and Europe. This lucrative drug route has attracted Mexican cartels, including powerful groups like CJNG and Sinaloa, alongside a web of local gangs that battle viciously for control. These conflicts have turned the city's streets into open war zones. Turf wars, drive-by shootings, assassinations, and even grenade attacks are now part of daily life. Government efforts have been undermined by corruption, lack of resources, and weak institutional control. Law enforcement is either overwhelmed or infiltrated, giving criminal organizations near total impunity. The situation is so dire that no area in Guayaquil is considered truly safe. Residents live under constant threat, and many have become numb to the violence, treating gunfire and bloodshed as part of daily routine. The port city's critical economic role has also been hijacked by black market operations, reinforcing the grip of organized crime. As of 2024, there are no clear signs of improvement. Guayaquil has become, in the words of many locals, a synonym for fear and death. Despite international concern, the city remains in crisis, where survival often depends more on luck than law.